Hello, hello. I am back. It was just a slight time difference, and I'm very excited to introduce my new guest on the Who Am I series, Ukachi Arinzeh, and what an amazing film director he is. I'm coming to add you very shortly, Ukachi. I'm going to wait for some of the guests to appear so we can get them on the feed. I hope you are well, and thank you so much for joining me today. Very excited about what we're going to be talking about. This man is so, so talented. He's got an amazing short film that's out, which is called The Inconvenience of Being Black. Very powerful. When I watched it, my heart was beating. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I won't give it away, but you've got to watch it. And I will definitely, after this, share his story. It's absolutely amazing. How has everyone been? What's been going on? What's happening? How's it going in the States? I'm always concerned about how it's raging, the COVID-19 over there. So I have lots of family and friends, and I really do hope that they will be safe and well at this time. So I will be introducing this amazing guest, Ukachi Arinzeh. So give me 1 second. Absolutely amazing. Give me 1 second, please. I think it's coming through.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm so sorry. I don't know about us. It's adjusting to this. Normally, I'm just bad with California time.
It's no problem,
And so when
honestly.
I
Thank
checked,
you
I thought
so
they
much.
said it was 2 p.m. So I really do apologize. I'm so sorry about
No problem. And I wasn't sure. And then I thought maybe it was 6 p.m. US time. So I was thinking maybe we got the
that.
total time. It's okay.
No, I
It's
wasn't
all
that
about.
bad.
Oh, it's no problem at all. Thank you so much for joining me. Firstly, how are you doing? Are you doing well?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I've been, reminding me of a kid for Christmas when you're just waiting for Christmas Day to come. So I've been so looking forward to today. So thank you so much for
Oh,
having me on.
likewise.
Who
You're
I am.
very
So I've
welcome.
been looking forward to
You're
it.
very welcome. And I want
But
to introduce you properly. So
okay.
I've been Ukachi Arinzeh.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes.
It is.
What a wonderful. What is your name? What's your origin? It's a beautiful
I'm
name.
originally from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Because I recognize the surname very well. You see, the surname I know Urenze very well. I've
right.
heard that before, but wasn't
Right.
sure.
So yeah. So
Okay.
so originally from Nigeria and then grew up in the States though. So came over
Okay.
quite
Wonderful.
young. But
Yes.
so yeah, so we're here maintaining. It's a beautiful day outside. So yeah, just happy to blessed to have another day ahead. So
Yeah, I know. I know when we think of those things, the most important thing in the season is our health, isn't it? It's beyond above everything. I think we've taken it for granted in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've come to realize just how quickly things can change.
Yes.
And so yeah, so you just really have to be thoughtful and mindful to just just appreciate, every day and every opportunity. So I think that's quite
Definitely.
important,
No, definitely. And I think we're just going to start with your story. How did you get into the film industry? The movie industry, a director. What an amazing title. Tell me your story.
So, it's one of those things where, I mean, quite honestly, I think I really have to give credit to Spike Lee, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember watching She's Gotta Have It. And I was just kind of like blown away by this film. And then when I saw the director, I was like, oh my God, he looks like me. I had just never imagined that was something Black people could do, quite honestly,
Yes.
and so to see someone in that position, it, I think so much for us, when you see someone who looks like you in a place, it gives you confidence that that could be you, and so.
Of course.
So yeah, so once I kind of saw that and kind of just learned more about, his background, it just became, something where, in being Nigerian, my parents were like very like, you have to be a professional, so
yeah,
the plan
lawyer,
was sort of,
accountant,
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
lawyer,
Accountant,
accountant,
doctor,
nothing
right,
else.
exactly,
A doctor,
exactly.
teacher.
Right. They give you an approved list that you could choose from, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
But so I thought I would go to law school, and then just kind of took the scenic route and just ended up in film. And once I kind of got there, I just knew it was, you know, the place for me. And so yeah, so just kind of worked my way up through the art department, and finally I had an opportunity to kind of direct these short documentaries in Shanghai. So then went to Shanghai for a while. Yeah, so I was kind of started working as a director producer there, and then came back to New York, I guess, a couple of years ago. So now kind of focusing on narratives in New York. And so, yeah, when I came back, it was just, you know, you kind of just look at your environment. And there was this quote, I think, from Nina Simone, who said, you know, artist's role is to reflect the times. And so I've tried to use that to kind of guide me as when I'm trying to find stories to kind of tell. And so that has been, yeah, kind of like a guiding light for me. And then honestly, I think, you know, a few years ago I had some health issues, and so you kind of get faced with your own mortality. And so I really then thought about just how I was working, and I realized, you know, you could be successful in work and also do good films, right? And have them be economical and just economically successful, but they could also add something positive to society, you know? And so, yes, I think I then said, okay, well, let's, you know, try to make good films that people appreciate, that mean something, but yeah, that just resonate with people. So that's kind of been just my approach to
Hey,
the
Denise.
films and
We've got
stories.
Denise on the line. We've got Denise on the line. Hey,
Hi,
Denise. Yeah. Wow. So you know, as a singer, I didn't go to, you know, the Berklee School of Music and the Guildhall and things like that. But I've come from a very musical background. But did you study, you know, formally study film director, or did you just have a talent for it? Or
No,
just...
I pretty much self-taught with everything. So it's you know, it's interesting just because film is such a collaborative effort, but when I was starting out, it's also expensive, right? And so I just had to keep learning skills to allow me to make films. So you know, first started shooting, and then, you know, when an editor became too expensive, learned how to edit. And then, you know, when I couldn't find a producer, then I had to start producing myself. And then I had these skills, and then I didn't have a story. So then I had to start writing. So I had to start creating.
My goodness.
So yeah, so it's really just out of necessity to just be able to make films, you know. And so fortunately now, you know, I've been doing it a while, that you know, have a relationship, and you can find people that are better than you in certain roles, and kind of put them in those roles. But everything has been kind of self-taught, and just, I mean, even now, working on a new project. And so typically when I've crowdfunded basically the other films that I've made. And so, but I kind of feel like I've exhausted that route, and the next film project is bigger. And so I've been, you know, really wrapping my head around film financing for the last few weeks. You know, it's just an area I really didn't know, because I just didn't have experience with that. But so I've just been, you know, researching it, finding articles, reaching out to this consultant. But so I've just really just been trying to get up to speed with that phase of filmmaking that I wasn't familiar with previously. So yeah, so that's just been my approach. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when you want to do something, you just kind of have to find a way to do it. And so I just just try to, you know, luckily, you know, there's, you know, the internet.
Thank goodness for Google, huh?
Yeah.
What was it before? Was it Arx Jeeves before? We had one of them.
Right.
Arx Jeeves, I think, was one of them. And now it's Google.
I don't know if we had that here, actually.
Yeah, maybe it was over here. It's funny, maybe it was only over here. Denise said DIY, and, you know, I smile when I hear the different hats you've had to wear in the film industry. Because in the music industry, it's the same. You know, you learn in-house. We do it all. You know, other than the mastering, because that's something quite prestige and quite specialized. But engineering, we've mixed people, and we've had to go back and do it ourselves because it just didn't get what we said, or they didn't
Absolutely.
follow
No,
the grade.
absolutely.
So
But I
you
think it's
find
at the
yourself.
end. No, but I think at the end of the day, it also makes you a better musician because now you
That's
kind
right.
of, you know, you're imagining those things in your head, right? And so you're
That's
looking at the range, how does the
that's
melody
true.
work, and so just it makes you just a better musician, I think. So
It does.
even
It does.
like with this, you know, I've had people, you know, offer to help me in this area that I'm kind of stuck in right now, and I've been like, okay, but give me a second to understand it first. Right, because I know it'll just make me a better filmmaker by understanding
True.
that kind of part of
True.
it.
It's
So,
true.
so I think it's important to just try to, even if you're not gonna do it, but to understand it, and then you also, and I
Yeah.
think quite honestly, you have then the language to communicate with the people who are doing it, right? So as a producer,
Mm,
I remember I worked on a film, and you know, I always kind of felt like the electricians could get over on me, because I didn't know
yeah.
electricity, right? So if they said I need this or need that, I couldn't push back on it, right? And so it took me just to figure out, you know, how electricity worked, what that meant in generators, that meant what did I have to rent, and so I could at least be knowledgeable to say, okay, well maybe we don't need all those lights because we don't have enough power anyway. So that, you know, but at least that know the lingo, that they now had to be conscious that they just couldn't tell me anything, right? And so I
That's
think, yeah,
true. It's true.
whatever we do, you know, the more knowledge about that thing you have is just always beneficial for yourself, and especially if it's something you're going to make a career, right? So it's not like you're just going to do it for 6 months. So if you plan on, I mean,
Yeah.
most of us will work, you know, 50 years, 60 years. So if you're going to be doing something for that long, you might as well get as much knowledge in that area as you can, you know.
No, I commend it. As I think it's amazing. And as I said, when you've got the film crew on set, you'll know what everyone's doing and how it makes what your project
Right.
the best it can be, isn't it?
Yes.
So I think that's exciting. But I did see, I'm going to go back, we're going to get to the most recent project you've done, which is amazing. So I see that you do things with purpose, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think in this season, or as an individual, we're always searching to see that we do something that adds value to the world. Because even from the creative sense, you write a song, you want the song to resonate, to tell a story, to heal. You as a film director, you're creating a piece which is going to resonate. And there's nothing more powerful than when you watch films that you leave the cinema back in the day, because that's what we do, and cinemas are great. Oh no, it's all changed now. Or you turn off the Netflix and you sit there with your mouth open.
When you leave your couch.
When you leave your couch now, it's crazy, isn't it? It's like I just said something and I was like, when did I last go to the movies? And I sit there with my mouth open. And you just sit there and you look at the person maybe you'd be watching it with, or you're watching your own, and you're like, oh, and that aha moment is nothing special. It's just wow. And you sit there trying to dissect, because then we become directors ourselves. We're like, oh, what that meant was this, and actually, and it empowers. It's amazing, and that's what I think is special.
Although I have to say, you don't get 50,000 people watching a movie at once as you do to get someone to go to see someone sing. So to me, it's kind of funny because it's like, I mean, you know, and I love what I do, but I always say if I could be a rock star. But then
it's relative.
I mean, but I just look at a musician, and when you look out at this sea of people, you know, just you're getting all this energy that, you know. So recently I've had a few, like spoken on a few panel things, and so when I've shown the team, on Zoom, you could see people watching your film. And so that's nice and that's interesting, you know.
Yeah.
But that's 10 people, you know. But yeah, I just think something about being a musician where you could just, you just control people's energy. And, you know, even just, and I know what you're saying about mood, but how often have we been in a mood and we play music to raise our mood up, or it gives us energy, or we work out?
You mean.
And so,
but then you're right. But then the contribution that we both have. So okay, music. You're right. It's a place. It's a moment in time. We're going to remember songs in this season that changed us and helped us, and that's what's so powerful. And it takes you back to back in time. But your films, and my dad was saying, my dad's from the music business, why I'm in it, and he said, imagine a movie without music. You contribute. It's literally a collaboration. And the scenes and the powerful bits, like even in your short film, the music that got me going. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? So the music is actually the contributor to what you've created, and then you put the story behind it. So it's just a visual story, whereas my voice is me telling the story through my voice. The same thing.
Yeah,
It's just as
absolutely.
powerful. And I
Absolutely.
think we're in a bit of a conundrum and dilemma as an artist, because we're like, how do we get in those festivals and those stages? Not doing that anymore. So
Yeah.
how are we going to create that energy that we could from, because you take for granted the festival energy when there's so much people in there, that all the energy coming out.
Mm.
How are we going to do that from our house and still let that people and that power? So it's not going to be easy for us. Now we're going to shine or not. We're going to
Yeah,
prove we're really good artists, because we've got to
absolutely.
be able to capture something with somebody just on our own.
Mm.
Very easy. You've got dancers, lights, and all that happening, bands firing. But when you're on your own doing that, then we're going to be
Yeah.
found out quicker
Yeah.
than you got. Do you understand? You think about
Right, 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 right.
it.
When
But as I
you have
said,
to
don't
press
take.
your own auto tunes.
Yes, basically. But if we have them, if we use them, that is the
No,
question.
I'm just joking, but I'm saying when you mean like finding out the real artists, right?
No, you're
You will,
right.
because
You learn a lot about that. A lot of artists have got a lot going on. You should be able to pick up your voice and sing out, and that's it. Nothing there, raw.
absolutely. And
Dry,
it's
they call
funny
it
because
dry mic.
no, absolutely. I've worked with musicians before, and you're hired to do a job, so of course you do your best job. But sometimes you're like, you're really skating on it. You know what I mean? Just because you just hear the voices, it's just like, luckily the
Mm.
performance and technology and things are really
Yeah.
enhanced. But
Yeah.
when just their raw ability sometimes to be lacking. But yeah, but I
Mm.
guess we all try to put our best foot forward. Whatever we
Of
do.
course. But as I said, this is about you, and it's exciting, as I said, that you can create a movie, a feature, and it can be beamed in everyone's house. And right now, I'm sure, Netflix never knew we were going to have COVID. These
Right.
companies had no idea what their life
Absolutely.
would be after this. People were searching for things, and they can see, obviously, YouTube is another platform, it's like a TV platform, isn't it? Movie platform. But Netflix changed and helped at people's lives. The kids could be put on the cartoons and keep them entertained.
Yeah,
So it's a powerful medium.
for sure.
People don't understand what goes behind making a film. They see the finished product, but they do not understand how much, as you said, fundraising, getting the right cast, the right crew, the right lighting. If you're doing an outside scene, actually today it's going to rain, but your scene doesn't want it to rain.
It
What?
does now.
So do I rewrite the scene, or do I just continue? Do you understand? The right
Absolutely.
mood, in New York, we've got the grime, but we might not want the grime, so we go to Hawaii. That
Mhm.
costs money.
Yeah,
So people
yeah.
don't realize what goes into a film, and so much elements that you're, as a director, is making sure it's all combined and kind of interlinked.
Mm. No, it's true.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. And it's one of those things is because it's so collaborative, right? And so, like for example, with my film now, so there's two police officers in it. Both roles were actually written for white men. And then one day I just saw the other African American actor, and because of him, it changed my concept of who that
Interesting.
role was, right? So, but that
Mm,
wasn't my original thought. And so that's also the beauty of film, is that everyone brings their own element to it that changes
mm,
what that original was. And so having
yeah.
that black officer changes the dynamic of the film tremendously, right? And it just adds another layer
Yeah.
of it that wasn't there
Mm,
originally. And it was because I saw someone else that I said, oh wow,
mm,
this could really work, and so there is something
mm.
that's beautiful about that collaborative effort of filmmaking that allows, and as the director, you have to, because you will always get a lot of different voices, but it's your
Cool.
job to filter those voices out, and be open enough to listen to other ideas, but also be true enough to your vision to know what is in service of your vision and what is detrimental to
Mm,
your vision. So that's
mm,
a difficult battle that you have to have at times, but it's part of what is required, actually.
mm. What I think is exciting is, like, when you create that tension in a
Mm.
film, that what's going to happen next. And then as I said, you start trying to say that you start becoming the film director, like, oh, this is going to happen. But actually, you can be completely wrong.
Yeah.
And how do you create that tension? What is it in the shot? or is it in the writing, or is it in the combination of both? I don't
I
know.
think it's a combination of both, and also in the acting. You know, I was just, you know, I was watching it the other day again, and there really is a, you know, there is a lot of tension in the film, you know, and I think, you know, it really works in service of the film because, you know, for, you know, I think a lot of Black Americans, when you get stopped by the police, you never know what's going to happen either, right? Like you don't know if that officer is going to be the cool officer, or if it's someone who's going to really, you know, is having a bad day and just is really just going to try to give you a hard time, right? And so there's just always, it just always feels like there's this tension there that you're just hoping that it ends well, right? And so I think the actors did a great job of, yeah, just kind of like feeling that tension in the air that it really does translate that, you know, and so many people have said you're just not comfortable watching the movie, you know, and even though, you know, you're waiting for something to happen, but that tension is just really there. And then, yeah, so it's, but yeah, I think the actors did a really amazing job for the piece.
No, and the actors did amazing, and then the shots, they're very clever. There's a part when that's when I thought something was going to happen when they walked past. I was like, oh my God, oh no. It's really clever how you did it, as I said, because the way they walked past, I was thinking, oh, are they going to witness something? You know, it was quite clever.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I was really blessed. My cinematographer, Anton Esteban, is a dear friend of mine that I've known for years. And for us to have the opportunity to collaborate on this film was one, and because, you know, there are all these relationships, and so, you know, I could really trust him with the vision and know that, you know, he was going to bring his A game to it.
Cool.
So yeah, it was it was a lot of things fell into place to make it happen, but yeah, it was I felt really truly blessed to have been a part of that.
That's amazing. And then you've obviously, I'm familiar with like Sundance and various film festivals, Cannes. How does that work? I see you've been nominated. You can explain, like, or you've been chosen by certain film festivals?
Right. So you just, it's typically you apply to different festivals, and so yeah, you end up applying to a bunch of them. So I recently, yesterday, got into another one, New York Film Festival. So yeah, so it's definitely, you know, obviously with COVID, it's slightly disappointing because a lot of them are now going virtual, and so, you know, you won't have the experience necessarily of being in the room and watching your film on the big screen. So some of them are getting delayed to figure out if they'll be able to have a festival like that, or will they have to do it as a virtual festival. So they're still kind of figuring out what that process will be. But yeah, but just being, you know, accepted to some of those, you know, it's a very, you know, humbling experience that for, you know, your peers to appreciate your work. So that's always, you know, it's nice to be recognized.
And then also, but beyond that, am I right in saying that some of these festivals, you get your deal, you get the funding, and they go, right, we're going to take this to feature? Is that that I'm aware of? Does that happen, or is that a longer process?
No, I mean, that's what we all hope for. So, but yeah, but it is, you know, they're great networking opportunities, and, you know, you have, you know, companies and agents and distributors who go to those looking for content, looking for talent. So yeah, so that's what, you know, it's to not be able to be in the room is a little disappointing. This, you know, just because of this pandemic that we're in. So it does diminish, you know, some of those in a certain way. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm fortunate to love what I do. And so, yeah, you just always do it and find a way to do it. So, and then hopefully that, you know, the world will acknowledge and recognize that at some point.
Oh, 100%. I have no doubt in my mind that you're a name that I'm going to hear very soon, because you're very talented. Yes, I have no doubt in my mind. I urge all the followers, audience watching this to go on my feed, and you can see a little bit of it, a clip, and then I'll do a swipe up to the Vimeo so they can watch the whole segment, because they got to see it in its entirety. But it's clever, the little clip that you did. And so you're also working on a feature film. So remind me, you got the short films and then you got the features. And I always hear feature films, and it goes straight. What does that mean? Because I'm trying to learn.
A feature film is actually so a feature depends on the length. So I think anything over 90 minutes is considered a feature film.
Oh,
Anything under, I think technically, I think it's 45 or 50 minutes is considered a short film. So yes, I'm working now on the feature project.
Okay, and tell us about this.
So
feature.
The Inconvenience of Being Black, deals with criminal, not police brutality, but the criminal justice system in a certain way. So as I was researching that film, I came to find that for a lot of Black Americans, their first interaction with the police and the criminal justice system often revolves around marijuana. And for marijuana possession, marijuana arrest. So then as I started doing a little bit more research, Blacks and whites smoke marijuana about the same rate. I think it's around 14%, right? Nationally, Blacks are 4 times more likely to be arrested for it. In New York, 10 times as likely to be arrested for it. And so as I started doing more research, I found that that wasn't by accident, it was actually by design. So Richard Nixon, president in 1968, his domestic policy chief, John Ackerman, gave an interview, and he said that, and I quote, in 1968, the Nixon campaign had 2 problems: the anti-war left and Black people. We couldn't criminalize people being against the Vietnam War, and we couldn't penalize people for being Black, but by associating the anti-left with marijuana and Black people with heroin, we could criminalize those activities heavily and disrupt their communities. So in 1971, the US prison population went from 200,000 to today, 2.3 million people in jail. Half of those are drug arrests. Of those drug arrests, 88% are because of marijuana. And so, so it has caused massive upheaval and destruction in the Black community, arresting people for weed. Okay. So now as society has changed and how we view marijuana is differently, now we're legalizing marijuana. So now you have Black people in jail for selling weed, but white men becoming millionaires by owning a cannabis dispensary. So the new film is called Black Market Green: The Whitewashing of the Cannabis Industry, and it's about young Black entrepreneurs who are fighting for inclusion in New York's marijuana industry. And so it deals with, issues of, criminal justice, race, economics. So I'm really excited about that, because I think it could be, something that really helps not only to end the criminalization of Black folks, but then also could create economic opportunities as well. So yes, I'm very excited about that project. So slowly but surely kind of, moving forward with that, getting that off the ground. So so hopefully I'll be shooting that in the next few months, getting started with that. So
that's right. That's a really powerful movement that you're going to be embarking on. And it's going to come with a lot of tension. Because it's going to create change. But it's something that I wasn't even aware of. I've seen various things on Netflix about the system incarceration, which is very powerful. But I've never actually put the two together. I come from the Caribbean, and marijuana is medicinal. It's something they do in the hills. That's what they do. It's only over time it's become criminalized, and and then now it's decriminalized. So it's like going through a process. But I never knew that. So you've taught me something new today.
And even in my film, because in the States, police have to have probable cause to stop people, search people, thing.
Of course.
All you have to do is say, I smell marijuana. And the thing about it is, you never have to prove that. You can't prove a smell, right? You don't go to court and say, Judge, this is the smell from that day, right? So you never have to justify it. All you have to do is say you smelled it. No one can challenge you on it. So it allows police so much leeway to have these interactions with Black folks, because all they have to do is say, oh, I smelled weed. I suspected that they had marijuana. And yeah, and so it's such a it's been an, like I said, it's been, you know, for often the first point of contact for Black people getting into the criminal justice system and having these interactions with police officers. And so I kind of feel like if we could take that off the table, right? That if police they couldn't just say I smell marijuana, you couldn't just arrest someone. Now it'll naturally diminish the points of contact, which then will diminish the arrests and diminish the amount of Black people being sent to jail. You know, so I do think it's it's just quite relevant. And so I really think, you know, to reform the police, we have to reform what they police. And so I think that, you know, would be, you know, a major step in that route. So I'm really focusing my energy on trying to get this next project, you know, off the ground.
Very exciting. Yeah, that's going to be powerful, and it all connects with Inconvenience of Being Black short film, and then the bigger picture. And then, you know, you spoke earlier about access to funding. I mean, it's one of the biggest things we can say in the entertainment industry. You know, as an artist, you sign a record deal or you sign a license deal, whatever, and you get money. Marketing, creating the film and then marketing the film is one of the biggest budgets that we ever need as artists, film directors. So it's just a matter of, as I said, these film festivals will help put you in the front of the right people, and, you know, and the right budgets will come. And I have faith that's going to happen. I think you just keep making great stuff. That's all we can do, isn't it? Yeah. Keep creating good stuff, and it just aligns itself when the time is right.
No, I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
You know?
I mean, and plus too, you know, like, you know, one of my favorite sayings is like, baby steps will take you around the world. You know, literally, you know, you could walk around the world, because normally we would say, I don't have a car, I can't get there. Well, if you really need to get there, you can just walk, right? And it'll take you a while. It'll take you a lot longer, but you will get there, right? And so, so I just really, you know, look at things as what's the next one step, right? Like, don't go 2 steps down, because then it feels very daunting. You start questioning yourself, you'll be able to do it. But that immediate one next step is much more manageable process, you know? So I really just, at this point, you know, just try to focus on the next step. And then just, you know, have faith in, you know, what it is that you're trying to achieve. And it helps by knowing that I want to make films that will help us as a society. And that, you know, it's worth the effort, you know? And so baby steps, you know, just, I think we'll get there, you know?
No, I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, you have to have faith in yourself, because if you don't have faith in yourself, no one have faith in you. So that's half the battle, isn't it? And if you are doing something which has purpose, I just believe the universe opens the doors. Because it's just good, isn't it? It's good. It's change. It's activating something which is going to help others. I don't see why you'll get a block when you're doing things like that, you know? So that's really powerful. And, you know, when it comes to being in the industry, what would you see? We spoke about access to funds. What other challenges have you faced, you know, driving your projects? And then what wins? Because you've had wins as well, you know, highs, lows. What type of other challenges would you say you could see someone listening who wants to be a film director? What would you say to them if someone could tell you how many years ago? What would you give them advice and prepare them?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, I think the biggest challenge is yourself. You know, you have to, because no one's waiting on anything from you.
No.
Right? So no one's like knocking down your door, at least not at this stage, right? And so you have to be committed to yourself and to your art, right? So that means, you know, you know, whatever steps you have to take to be able to achieve your goals. So it's you know, it's difficult at times because no one's looking for you. So you really have to be disciplined on your own. You have to create what is your own next steps. You know, you have to constantly bang on those doors. You know, when you send someone a script, you have to keep calling them back to make sure that they've read it, you know. And so, so you just need to really keep yourself motivated and disciplined in order to move forward. And so I think, like, you know, you're your best asset, but also you have to recognize that you can be your biggest hindrance. But I think you need to know that to see the areas that, you know, you might hinder yourself. Like, for example, for the Inconvenience of Being Black, when I knew I wanted to make it in like a warm weather as the backdrop. And so last year, you know, I was still in the process of raising money. I hadn't raised all the funds. And so now it's getting to be towards the end of September. And so then at some point I was like, you know what, I'll just do it next year. I'll wait till next summer and shoot it next summer, like around this time. But then I realized part of me, it was actually fear that was saying that, right? Because, you know, just as an artist, you always have to overcome a certain level of fear, you know, to put things out there. And so it was easier for me to say, oh, I'll do it next year out of fear, because then I wasn't taking the responsibility of it. So when I realized that it was fear talking and not a real better plan, I was like, whatever money I have now, do that, change things, beg for more favors, put in more of your own money, but just make sure you shoot it now, and then just take your time, you know, with the post. And I'm so thankful that I did, because obviously, you know, now that's coming, it's so timely as opposed to trying to shoot it now.
Yeah,
and
isn't that funny? Yeah,
but
the timing couldn't be any better.
Right, but it required, you know, me overcoming my own fear. So, you know, so that's what I say is, you know, we have to be aware of that to know to come up, you know, it was because I realized, okay, it's actually fear that's trying to get me to stop. I could then overcome it, right? And so that's why I say, you know, I think sometimes we have to be aware of ourselves. We could be our own biggest hindrance. You have to be conscious of that to be able to overcome that, you know. So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree. I think as a creative, I can appreciate and I can totally relate, because everything we do comes from within us, as well as other people's opinions, and we are bearing all, whether it be from the film director, from writing a script, from singing a song, where we haven't got nowhere to hide. We're letting ourselves go and letting ourselves know who you are. And we are going to, and then someone's going to go, nowhere to hide, and they're going to go, it was all right. Thanks for that. You know how long it's taken me to make it? And it hurts. And we've got to be more thick-skinned than you can ever imagine in our industry, because we will get told, people will tell us that what we've spent 2 years creating is just all right. Could have been better. And it hurts. But then equally, the thick skin in us is resilient, because it's our belief. It's us believing in ourselves and saying, you know what, this is the best version of what I can do to give you. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you me. And it's one of the most powerful things that we do in creative industry. And you spoke very poignantly about fear. Fear is the thing why we never move forward. You know, I can bring it forward to the season now, that if anyone has got anything they want to do in life, now do it. What was you waiting for before? If you don't know now, you shouldn't wait. You're never going to know.
Right.
Because people didn't make it. Some people didn't make it past a month. They died. Let's get very real.
Absolutely. And on top of that, I mean, we've come to see, you know, people who, you know, had jobs for 20 years, those jobs, industries just disappeared overnight.
Thank you.
Right?
Overnight. Like 32 years some people have been working.
Exactly. And so if they were waiting for their opportunity to do what they always love, but now that job that was supposed to be everything and all this security that is gone, right? And they come to find out, okay, well, maybe I wasn't in such the best financial shape, or, you know, as I thought that I was. So now you've never pursued your goals. You know, you never pursued your dream. You had a job that you really didn't care for that much. and now you don't have the security that you thought you had. So yeah, it's I think, you know, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the experience we're having now, but I think, yeah, one of them for all of us is nothing is guaranteed, you know, and so you might as well, you know, pursue what the things that you really want and care about, because at least then you'll be satisfied, you know, and at least be proud of your effort and yourself, you know. So I think definitely,
100%. You'd feel fulfilled. There's a fulfillment that comes from doing what you love, even if, because, you know, we know it takes time before we actually see the dividends of our work and the few, as I say, the fruits of our labor. There is nothing more amazing to do what you love, and you know you gave it your best, and it's from you, and you love it. That's nothing that can actually take that away, ever.
Absolutely.
And then you know, push forward. We then get the fruits of our labor, and then it's like, wow, I'm actually doing what I love, and I'm actually gaining from it. You know, and when we do close our eyes when it happens in the years to come, we gave it our best. We gave it our best. I think that's all we can do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that they said the true happiness comes from making progress. You know, whatever you're doing, it's like just the fact that you're making progress, you'll be a fulfilled and happy life. You know.
No, definitely. And did you? Denise says something about out of how many? You've got quite a lot of brothers and sisters and people in your family. Out of you, the only one that's gone in the arts. How many?
4 of us in total.
Oh, 4 of us. Okay. Now she was saying about being in the arts. I think you're the only person that's in the arts in your family.
Yeah, they all went with the money.
they all did.
Like
bankers, estate agents, accountants.
Someone's got to finance the films.
That's true. Actually, put your business plan to them. Hey, that's how we do it as family, isn't it? Sometimes you know, it's what we do as well. Sometimes we go outside of our box, and actually, if we were to start looking at our network, we can actually go to them. And then we see who really has your support, huh? Cause a few conversational pieces, but at least you've asked.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And did you ever have like a mentor? I know you said Spike Lee was your biggest inspiration when you saw him and he looked like you. Was anyone that has been in your journey that's kind of quietly been giving you advice and steering the ship, or has it been something you just navigated yourself?
I really think mentors are extremely important. I unfortunately, at least as of yet, I haven't really had that someone I can really just kind of like bounce ideas off of, and just in the industry. So I oddly enough, I feel that's coming now. I think just by the nature of just how things have progressed and just some of the conversations I've been having with people. So it feels like, you know, that window or stage is probably going to happen now. So I haven't as of yet, but I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of people feel that, oh, we don't need anyone to help, but you'd be surprised what people don't tell you on the IG lives. And, you know, this is my life story. There's a whole lot of people behind that created that person, that really was that door opener. Obviously the hard work. No one does it alone. Yeah. No, nobody. You are as big as your team and the people that actually believe in you. And, you know, you could think of many times that a door is open that you walk through that actually gave you the opportunity to where you are now. And a lot of people need to understand that they think success happens overnight, literally. It's years and years and years and years. But that's what grafts you to where you are. Because I wouldn't have or out of anyone that gets a certain amount of success, if it happened overnight, it normally doesn't stay. It's normally when it's grafted, it's shaped, it's molded, it actually becomes stronger and firmer, the foundation stronger.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And you just appreciate it, right? You can just look back and look at the effort that took to get you to that point, and you can just appreciate, you know, what it took to get there. But like you said, you know, anything that's easy, you know, we don't value as much. So just, you know, put the grind in, you know, I think is the key.
No, definitely. And where can all the people that are listening, and obviously when I put it on the platform for them to listen further, where can they find you? What would you like to, you know, connect with, and what type of people you're looking for? Always know.
So, you know, just other creatives, you know, it's you know, I mean, these exchanges are just wonderful, you know, because you just get energy and ideas, and you know, everything I think is always about just conversations and dialogue, you know. So, and you know, for us, you know, as a creative person, you know, creativity comes from everywhere, right? So sometimes you just see some cool kid walking down the street, and you're like, oh, I mean, even just, you know, my previous film, you know, I was inspired by it when I saw a homeless teen on the street, you know, and so, and then started wondering about his life, right? And so, yes, I think, you know, as a creatives, you need just that exposure to different elements of things, right? So yes, I think that's just very important to be able to just expand your horizon, because yeah, at the end of the day, you're always, you know, stories are all around us, but you have to be open to them to be able to appreciate them, you know. So yeah, so for me, it's just being, you know, open and receptive to as many different, you know, perspectives as possible.
Just one question, because you said you spent a lot of your time in Shanghai. I haven't lived anywhere in particular. I've spent a lot of time in the US, which I do. But I haven't lived somewhere. What was the difference between Shanghai and New York? It's like 1,000 miles away from each other in how
That's
they operate. What was it like?
So Shanghai felt like New York's little brother, but less gatekeepers.
Really?
So yeah, absolutely. So you could easily connect with the decision maker, right? So and also and at that time, Chinese, there's a what is a phrase that says, you know, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. And so there would be a fear of saying no to foreigners at that time because they don't know who you are, right? So they don't want to prevent you from talking to the boss if this foreigner was someone their boss should have spoken to. And plus, too, I think there's just a nervousness. They just still were a little bit. So you could easily, in one phone call, talk to a decision maker. So I think because of that, it allowed you to have conversations with people who are making decisions, as opposed to New York, where you got to talk to the intern, then you got to talk to the assistant, then you got to talk to the executive assistant, before you ever get to talk to someone
anywhere
who's in a position of power, rights. But there, it was there was just, you had much more access to people, and so I think because of that, it had this feeling that anything is possible. Right, that you could really kind of do what you want, and so there's also just a great expat community as well. So it was a wonderful time for me. So 6 months turned into 10 years.
Wow, is that what? So your initial thing was 6 months? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, 10 years on.
Yeah.
I haven't been to that part of the world, and I really do. My brothers have traveled, Bali, Singapore, and they just said it is out of this world. It's just a whole new experience.
No, I mean, traveling is one of the best educations there is, though. So whenever you get an opportunity, and Shanghai is an amazing city. China's a great country. I mean, of course, like anywhere else, they have their, thing with them. It can be difficult at times. But, all in all, the experience was incredible, actually.
Well, 6 months, 10 years, I think you wouldn't have stayed that long if you... Jay Official said believe, because he loves it. He travels there all the time. One of the team members, and he said it's just out of this world. And as you said, that collaboration, it's a cultural thing. I mean, I've worked with Japanese before, and they're just very respectful. As I said, they're not going to, if you can do business with them, they have like this thing about honor and respect and everything. So once they feel that from you, they'll pass you on, Right. But it is very different, completely. So miles away from New York, completely different energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, so the future is the feature film. So very excited about that. So it's obviously conducive of COVID because you need to get out there on set.
Right. So I've been, been thinking about that because of the documentary. I'll have to shoot a lot of individual interviews. So I think that might help a little bit because it won't, unlike a scene, it won't require 50 people in the room at
That's
once,
true.
right? I could probably
That's
get
true,
away
yeah.
with the principal person and then maybe like a two, like maybe, you know, 3 or 4 person crew. I'm trying to just get it as small as possible. So, you know, I think there is, and so I've been trying to figure out, you know, typically you would go to someone else's space, you know, we might have to, you know, have them come to our space so that everything's kind of set up. They can just come in and come out. And so, you know, so I'm still trying to figure out how to really adjust in this COVID time, like how that really affects production. But, you know, hopefully, yeah, because it's just so uncertain, you can't wait for it to be over because nothing will happen, you know, so just trying to understand, like, how do you navigate this landscape and still be able to work and, you know, and get things done. So we're kind of recalibrating what that might look like. But hopefully in the next few months we'll be able to get started with that.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And as I said, I think people will want to navigate with you. So you'll find people who want to work and want to make it happen. So that's a really good thing.
It's, you know, people in the space are so passionate about what they're doing and passionate about the fight, you know, that I think that, yeah, you know, people have definitely been, you know, receptive to collaborating and speaking to us about it. So yes, I'm excited to kind of get started with it, actually.
That's amazing. And what is your website or handle that people can come and connect with you? Because I'm hoping after this they come and reach out, actors, people in the creative world.
So the company is Visuals. So UNOVISUALS.com.
Right.
Visual.com. So that's the website, so you can take a look at it, and so I could always be reached there. And then on my Instagram is Ukachi Visual here, so you know anyone can always reach out if, you know, for collabs or just ideas or just advice or just to say hello.
Definitely. And I come from a production team of very talented producers, so no doubt they'll be in touch, and, you know, trailers and sound bites, all of that. Yeah, really quite off-center producers, which is sometimes needed in the movie industry. You got to kind of see the scene and be able to put. No doubt, I would love that we can do some stuff.
I mean, the way we consume our music even now is changing, right? And so it's, you know, that visual story for many artists it's a great way for them to break their music as well, you know. So and then, you know, and it's always, I love that challenge of being creative in a box, you know. And so I think there's this very cool things that are happening in music now that stretches that visual creativity that I think is always very cool to see as well.
No, definitely. No, I'm very excited about you. I think this is a name that people need to remember. I think what your next feature's about is going to be very powerful, you know, and the platforms that you can now show it, like Netflix is huge, and, you know, Amazon Prime is huge, and people are looking for things. They want, what I find in this season, or even beyond, but even more so, is you can't do fluff anymore. Gone are the, do you understand? It's got things with depth and meaning, substance.
And I think, you know, quite honestly, you know, other artists, other people can, you know, I just kind of feel like in this time, at least for me personally, you know, there's a lot of issues that we are facing that need attention to, you know, and so it need to be addressed, right? And so, maybe there, you know, 5 years from now, you know, we've gotten, you know, achieved some things, and you can just make fluff films, you know. But for right now, it's just a little bit too serious.
And then, you know, just so I'm corrected. There's a time, you know, I love a good comedy, a good girly flick, all those things. They need to stay because that's have my Friday night with my, you know, glasses of wine. But I feel there is something happening in the air where people, COVID-19, what goes on with that, health, you know,
Rene,
medication.
Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm just realizing my phone's gonna die in a second. Just get me plugged in.
No problem at all. You know what's happening? I've only got a few minutes anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. The live, guys. Has anyone got any questions for Ukachi? because he's right here. This is the time to ask any question you might want to know about being in the film industry. He's a very talented film director, so please ask away. Got a few more minutes with him.
Sorry about that.
No, it's no problem at all. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was watching the time anyway, because what happens, it will time out after an hour anyway. So I think we're getting to this. I've got one question for you, because I asked them all while you was gone. What's the best way to pitch music to directors?
I think just share it with them. You know, like, so typically when musicians have come to me and, you know, for us to, you know, collaborate on a project together, you know, just sharing the music with them. And then, you know, you just talk about your inspiration for it. But yeah, but, you know, I think typically, you know, just letting the music kind of speak for itself, and then together trying to figure out what that visual representation of the song is. But I think, you know, artists today too, you know, are so kind of well versed with what their idea and what their image is, that, you know, that they bring a lot to the table. But it's nice as a director, you know, to, and I think, you know, sometimes when you have those conversations, it's nice, you know, to get another perspective of how someone is responding to your music. So I think that's always great as well.
Thank you. I've also got another question. Nicole asks, what are some of the names of the films that you have out? So I know obviously you've got your short film, which is The Inconvenience of Being Black. But is there anything else? You know, because I know you're a director.
The other one is Searching for the Promised Land. So that was dealt with a homeless teen in New York.
Wow.
So that's another short film that's that I have out now as well, that you can find.
Yeah.
So it was previously called Survival Sex, and then we changed the name for that. So
what I'll do after this, I'll do a swipe up to your films, you know, the short films and your Vimeos. That's definitely what I'll do, so they can see. Because we've been speaking about the short film, but they really got to see it, because they will understand from our conversation, you know, what
I hope they do.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. No, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you today. I'm so glad, you know. I thank Denise, because you spoke with her, you know her before myself, and then obviously we got connecting. So that's what it's about. It's great meeting people through people, and getting to meet yourself, and your talent that you have is just tremendous. And I wish you nothing but success. I know this won't be the first and last time we speak. I'm sure we'll be doing something together.
Looking forward to the next time.
I really hope that. And just keep striving. You know, you're very talented, and, you know, the world's yours. That's all I can say. The world is yours.
Thank you so much for, you know, having me on today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It was absolutely my pleasure. And just be safe over there, you know, just look after yourself in this season.
Likewise.
And we'll definitely catch up. You know, anything I can do to push you out there, I'll be more than happy to help. Okay?
Looking forward to it.
You're very welcome. God bless you.
Likewise.
Take care. All the best. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.